Hey everybody, it's Matt from AIDIY.tech. I'm the AI music guy, and today I'm going to do my first reaction video. It's not the habit of wanting to do reaction videos, but I just think it's relevant for now, which is addressing the executive order that Trump signed regarding AI and copyright. So stay tuned. Cool. So what you're going to see is something that I swore I would never do, which is reaction videos, but I'm not doing it to get some cheap likes on someone else's video. I really just want to react to this in real time. I've watched this video through once and I had some thoughts about it. I'm like, you know what? I just want to share what I think it means. And I definitely want to open up the chat for you guys to talk about it as well. So let's bring it over here.
President Trump laying out AI priorities for the federal government at a high-profile event in Washington. Eamon Javers joins us right now with more on that. Eamon, we're trying to figure out what this means overall and what we can expect to see in the industry as a result.
Yeah, good morning, Becky. Look, pledging that the U.S. will do whatever it takes to retain its global lead in artificial intelligence, President Trump signed 3 executive orders yesterday to speed up development in the field. The orders are designed to accelerate permitting of AI projects, expand U.S. tech exports, and eliminate what the president called woke in AI. Now, the president's plan aims to block the government from contracting with tech companies unless they ensure that their systems are objective and free from what they call top-down ideological bias. Now, I asked White House...
So I'm just going to address that. So this has nothing to do with the AI stuff. And I think just like any politician in any party, I'm not Trumping, I'm not Bidening, I'm not Obamaing. You know, the motive behind this seems to be wanting to remove anybody who is in AI that could possibly create AI that doesn't align with what his message is, because we know that he has used AI to promote some things that aren't necessarily true, like crowd numbers or that he looks like Superman or whatever. So he's obviously not trying to eliminate the need the ability for him to pump it out, but he specifically wants to address things that don't align with what he wants to use AI for. And they talk a little bit more about it in here. But then we'll get sort of the point of why I think this is important.
Officials on a call yesterday, who's going to decide what ideological bias is? They responded that what they're mostly concerned about is eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion values from AI. Officials said they're also focused on clearing away regulatory hurdles.
Yeah, so specifically those things are going to be removed for this bill. But, you know, to help things along, you always also want to attach things. You might say, okay, I'm happy to get rid of inclusive things and whatever I consider woke ideology to be. But if you don't feel too comfortable with that, we'll give you something else.
Hurdles to new projects, particularly environmental concerns around new plant construction. Trump also said he doesn't want copyright concerns slowing down AI's ability to utilize the world's knowledge base.
When you read something and when it goes into this vast intelligence machine, we'll call it, you cannot expect to every single time say, oh, let's pay this one that much, let's pay this one.
See, this is where it is with the AI music community here and the people that make AI music. And this is what we're arguing. This is what all the lawsuits are about, is these indie artists saying, well, you know, they're sampling the majority of works in AI music is sampling because the majority of musicians are indie musicians. And what Trump is saying here is you can't expect, and it's not just music. I always try to point this out, that, you know, it's musicians that seem to think there's an exclusive thing that we only matter here when it comes to this, when in fact, like, that's already been knocked back with all other art forms, with writing and art. We're already using all that other stuff. And even musicians use AI to produce, you know, images and articles and things like that. But specifically what he's saying here definitely relates back to us. Like, so you make a song and it samples from 8,000 people. Are we going to somehow figure out some sort of matrix that's going to pay those 8,000 people a fraction of a cent from your song?
It doesn't work that way. Of course, you can't copy or plagiarize an article, but if you read an article and learn from it, We have to allow AI to use that pool.
And this is what we've been saying. So, like, everybody that's onto it says that. People, when they make music, like if I make a jazz song, are you going to sue me because I wasn't the very first person to make a jazz song or a rock song? Like, I didn't invent jazz. I had to learn that from someone else. And us as AI music makers, we make this argument all the time. And of course, you know, the traditional musicians say, yeah, but when you sample something, there's a paper trail. But yeah, but there's not you don't, every influence you made or you have when you've made a song, you don't write that down and submit it to the copyright. I listened to Led Zeppelin 50 years ago, and maybe I learned something from listening to Led Zeppelin. You be the judge of it, and you scrape it. You can't do it.
Of knowledge without going through the complexity of contract negotiations.
Now, that's significant because, as you guys know, media organizers, authors, and others have brought a barrage of lawsuits against AI firms for allegedly ingesting their work into large language.
Yeah, and we're in the middle of one right now. Top Music Attorney has put an open letter. I think last I saw, there's 800 people that are signed on for this lawsuit. They're going after Suno and Udio specifically for that, but there's been other ones too. But like, I've made the argument that I don't know if that has any legs, because that particular argument that she's making about sampling from, you know, people and making language models and stuff, that's already been knocked back. If you like this segment so far and you like to see me reviewing things live like this and my other content, remember, subscribing down below helps the channel. It's a community channel that helps you. With the more people that subscribe, the more people that get to see your stuff when I do my weekly reviews, more people to interview, more people to see you when you are interviews. So I'd appreciate those subs. Also, if you want to support the channel, check out my links below, either through PayPal, donation, buy one of my shirts. I think you can donate on this video directly. Check out the charity I support, which is John Fawcett Foundation. Do a donation through their website or through mine, that's fine. But yes, thank you, and yeah, we'll continue the video.
Models without financial compensation. Back over to you guys.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful in terms of what it means for all of these media companies and others who have been suing to try and uphold their rights on some of these things. Kind of goes back to what Satya Nadella said maybe a year and a half ago or longer to 60 Minutes, when he said basically, or maybe it was Lester Holt, where he said, look, we have to rethink how copyright laws work, essentially, to make sure that this progress gets made. Clearing the pathway.
That's right, and it's progress. And like I mentioned before, the toothpaste is out of the tube. You can't squeeze it back in. The only way to, I mean, one or the other. We're either going to continue to have AI, and AI is going to improve things and it's going to mess other things up, but we're either going to continue to have AI, or we're going to continue to have copyright laws that say exactly this. And I don't even know, like, how do you even manage that? Like, you have to use AI to manage that. And AIs learn things from other people, and you're going to be using AI to enforce AI. And how does that AI learn from sampling other things and protected copyrighted materials and all that? Are those models going to pay every time they enforce a copyright claim? I don't know. But the point is, they're making the point that copyright law needs to change or be adjusted. I don't want anybody that's making things not to get paid for things. And like Trump said, you know, plagiarism, direct plagiarism, if you take someone's article and republish it under your own name, that's always going to be illegal. That's not in debate for anybody.
For some of the environmental issues, for trying to build out faster, I just wonder what you think that is going to mean, Eamon, in terms of how fast the progress goes, what this means in terms of America winning the AI race with China.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think it's largely environmental, right? And what they're concerned about is any kind of environmental reviews or any kind of regulatory slowdown of this vast data center buildup, and also, you know, the power supplies that's going to be important for AI as well. So I think if you are in the AI business, if you're in the data center business or anywhere adjacent to that, what you can expect now is sort of the full weight of the federal government sort of on your side of the argument, whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't know if you're into finance and stuff, but this data center and the laws around it be one of those global things that you might want to be looking at for your investing, especially if this goes through, especially if they're talking about it seriously.
Is on regulatory matters. I think that's probably a good thing for the AI industry as they look to expand. And I think, you just saw the president throw himself.
Yeah, very lot. So I'm talking about macroeconomics, and I know this goes outside the scope of AI music. But if you want to be investing in AI at all, this should be a very interesting time for you. You don't necessarily have to invest in a company that produces AI, but if things around AI, macroeconomics, this is a big shift.
On one side of this copyright issue, he's all in with the AI industry on this, saying they shouldn't have to be beholden to copyright as they ingest all this material, because that's sort of the world's knowledge and that should be for the world. Now, if you're somebody who's an author or a media company, you might disagree. You might say, well, that's our knowledge and you're stealing it. So that debate is ongoing. The president clearly taking a side there. And all of this will be decided by federal agencies who are large purchasers here. And the influence that they're using is the federal procurement of all of this stuff. They're going to set terms within the federal government for what they buy, including this sort of unbiased ideologically guideline around this idea of not having DEI or woke ideology built into the AI. All of that's going to be in what the federal government buys, and that's going to be very influential for them.
So I guess there's a couple things, right? Like, depending on what perspective you're coming from, and I'll keep this brief. If you watch the whole thing, there's so much to unpack about that, right? Like you might think this is just for you. Yay, this is great for AI because it's music, but and other stuff that you can borrow, and those lawsuits will go away, and they might just go away. And it might become too expensive to pursue those lawsuits, especially now that the federal government is considering saying, don't worry about copyright stuff when it comes to machine learning. But also, as a person, you want to consider free speech, and you talk about people with ultimate free speech. There seems to be a lot of movement to weaponize government against a particular ideology or at least point of view, label it as woke and remove it, legally, forcefully remove it. And you got to just wonder if, the other side of the coin, if say the Democrats were in power right now and saw this, like, no, these data centers got to go in, we got to now revise copyright laws. Why don't we, use those laws to also at the same time remove anything that's ultra right wing or right wing or whatever. So it's interesting times. Those are things to consider. I thought it'd be interesting to live respond to news things like that instead of trying to clip things in here and there and see what people say. Yeah, hopefully you have found that interesting. I'd love to hear your comments down below and see how it goes. Thanks for tuning in.